Welcome to another episode of Chat Sports Talk. And welcome to week 4 of the college football 2023 football season. That's right, we're up to week 4, and this is going to be a dandy of a week. A lot of top 25 matchups, including 3 in the Pac-12 alone. A league that is about to be down to 2 after the end of the year. And I'll kind of mention a little story I heard floating around there, and it's starting to get some traction, and I'll probably end up doing a video with that soon. I'm just not too sure when, because these videos do take a little bit of time, and trying to do 2 videos in one day is a bit of a challenge. But I might give it a shot a little bit later on. Don't know. But anyways, before I dive into the predictions and whatnot, let's go ahead and go over a scenario that's been floating around between the Pac-2, which is Wazoo and Oregon State, and the Mountain West. There's an idea being tossed around that Oregon State's athletic director said they should consider is a promotion regulation system between the 2 conferences, which means the 12 members of the Mountain West and the 2 Pac-2 members merge. Try to get at least 2 more other programs into this agreement. A lot of the rumors talk about North Dakota State, South Dakota State getting roped into this. I can see that as well. I think those are 2 programs that definitely deserve. And if you've seen any of my conference realignment videos, I've always mentioned these 2 schools. But like I said, this is going to probably be a topic for another video, but I thought it would be something interesting to touch upon, because somebody actually leave a comment in my ACC Extended Westward. And I kind of mentioned some of that. So there's definitely a video I really need to look into. There's a lot of questions involving that, and a lot of deals with TV money. So I'm not going to get too much involved in that. I will put up in somewhere around me, or you've probably already seen it already, of the video calling for a promotion and regulation system I've already created previously. And we'll just kind of go from there. But I think that's a video I should be doing very, very soon. Well, let's just go ahead and jump right into this. Last week, I actually went 9-1 out of 10 games. Felt confident. That's 2 weeks in a row I've done extremely well. But like I said, this week is going to be fun and entertaining. I think this is where we're going to come crashing back down to earth, because there's a lot of good top tier matchups happening. Like I said, a lot of top 25 showdowns. So go ahead and kick things off in Death Valley over there in Clemson, playing host to the 4th-ranked Seminoles of Florida State. This should be a dandy between these 2. It's been a dandy for a while once, Clemson's really start stepping up to the plate in recent years. So Florida State has kind of stepped back and let Clemson kind of take charge. Now Florida State's coming back. So this is a great time between these 2 programs. These are 2 programs, a lot of history, football-wise. There's also history of them possibly, or talks of them possibly leaving. But that's a different topic, so let's not get ahead of ourselves. And for this one, I'm looking at Shipley to be the focal point for the Clemson, but he's yet to get into the end zone rushing. And if he can't alleviate a lot of the pressure on the quarterback, it's going to be a long day for the Clemson offense. The Clemson defense should be halfway decent as well. Should keep Travis in check. Now, Travis has over 700 yards passing, 8 touchdowns. Wilson, his favorite receiver, has been a human highlight reel pretty much. 11 receptions for over 200 yards, but no touchdowns. But he finds ways to get the ball, disseminate to other targets. Right now, Florida State's favored by 2. With this being in Death Valley, I like that as well. I like Florida State winning. I think it will be close just because of how good these 2 programs are, how well coached they are right now, talent-wise. And this is going to be a key matchup in Clemson, because if they lose this, they drop to 0-2 ACC play. That's hard to come back from that. They have before, so don't get me wrong. But this definitely puts them behind the 8 ball, per se, or behind the rock. but I will give it to Florida State edging out the Tigers. And then one I think no one's really kind of talking about is Army visiting Syracuse. Now Syracuse is undefeated, so everyone's kind of looking over them, but Army has really quietly built a nice little team right now. Now Army goes through years of them being the laughingstock of the military academies. In case you don't know, I got the Air Force helmet back there because I am retired Air Force, so I tend to vote for them a little bit more. But Army had a fantastic game plan against UTSA and just took UTSA out of their game. Their defense was stout. They just ran the ball. They passed the ball quite effectively. Even though they don't get a lot of passing plays because Daly only has almost 450 yards in 2 games, 4 TDs, 2 picks, but he also has over 200 yards rushing with 3 touchdowns. So Daly is one of those dual threat, which is pretty much any military academy QB. And right now, Syracuse is favored by 13 in this matchup. Now, I'm also taking Syracuse, but I'm thinking it's going to be closer than that. I think Army's going to give them a bit of a challenge. Part overlooking Army's capability. A lot of times these military academies do get overlooked. If you ever watch Notre Dame and Navy, it's always closer than what a lot of people think, just because how they play each other. I do think Army should have some success early, but can't maintain against the big boys of Syracuse. Then we head on to College Station, where the Aggies will play host to undefeated Auburn. I mean, there's a lot of undefeated programs out there right now, so we'll start seeing them starting to wean off a bit. Now, Wigman should have a very productive day. I mean, 900 yards passing, 8 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. I mean, you can't ask for anything more in 3 games. I mean, he's getting you 300 yards a game, almost 3 touchdowns a game with an interception. Right where you want your quarterback to be, basically. Daniels, they need to concentrate more on that running attack because he only has about shy of 150 yards. But A&M has a lot of talent. So it's really, I think, kind of up to them to kind of lived up to that hype. Auburn, I think, has been one of the surprises early this season. We'll see if they can do that. Right now, A&M's favored by 8. I don't think they believe in Auburn too much, but I will give Auburn a little bit of credit. I'm still going with the Aggies, by the way. But I think it's going to be closer than 8 points. But I think Aggies should be able to edge out the victory. Then we're throwing an old school rivalry game. Once again, I did it last week with TCU in Houston. The Iron Skillet game between SMU and TCU go at it. Both programs are 2-1. TCU has bounced back after falling short to Colorado. They've won 2 in a row. SMU is a quality program. It's finding themselves heading towards ACC. But this one, I think, is just going to be a close game because right now TCU is favored by 6.5. I'm picking the underdog. I'm taking SMU in this one. Like I said, this is a rivalry game. They seem to play each other pretty tight. I think last year was kind of a fluke. But TCU has shown some vulnerabilities. I think SMU can exploit that. So I'll give it to the Mustangs, edging the Horned Frogs and taking the Iron Skillet. So here we go. Here comes some meat coming. I'm going to talk about a couple top 25 showdowns. Let's go ahead and head out to Eugene, where the 10th ranked Ducks will take on the 19th ranked Golden Buffaloes of Colorado. Coach Prime is actually getting his real first test. I mean, I think TCU was his first test, and he blew that test out of the water. He aced it. Colorado State gave him fits. That game got a lot of notoriety, and even the players and players' family got death threats because of that game, which is just idiotic, to say the least. Regardless of what you thought the plays, he did. There's no need for that type of nonsense. But this is a very well coached, very full, talented Oregon team that's looking to really make a statement for the Pac-12 in the playoffs this year. And Sanders is a phenomenal quarterback thus far. He's shown his ability to make the correct reads, move. His movement then allows the receivers to kind of ad-lib a bit to find themselves open. He always seems to find an open receiver. Not having a dual threat player in Hunter will probably really hamper Colorado in this game. Right now, Oregon's favored by 21. No. That's disrespectful to the Buffaloes and Coach Prime. I've been one of those. Is that Coach Prime's a great regular season coach. It's just the postseason play he seems to struggle. That happens with a lot of coaches. But I will take Oregon. It's not going to be 20 by 21 at all. I doubt it'll be a double-digit win. I'm going 9.5 on this line. I think Colorado should make it interesting early. Fall a little bit behind at halftime, come back in that third quarter and fall again to Oregon. But I think Colorado will make it entertaining, but they should cover the 21. But I'm still going with the Ducks. Now we head out to Salt Lake City, where the 11th ranked Utes would take on the 22nd ranked UCLA Bruins, another top 25 matchup in the Pac-12. And this will kind of separate who's going to be up there with Oregon, who are the winner of Oregon, Colorado, and USC. I have a feeling I'll have no issues with their game this weekend. And, Moore is looking very, very good quarterback-wise, 600 yards through the air, 7 touchdowns, only has 1 pick in 3 games. So he's making some correct reads. They've had some struggle. They had struggled against Coastal, but it's been cruised ever since. Utah will give them a test, but Utah has issues themselves. You look with the game against Florida, they struggled. Baylor, a miraculous come-from-behind victory. And kind of controversial depending on your point of view of that last play. So there's definitely some question marks in the Utah's offense. Defensive-wise, they're doing pretty good. Able to keep the score down. Allows their offense the opportunity to do that. They're going to take on UCLA, Chip Kelly. That Bruins offense has a 3-headed monster with Moore, Steele in the backfield, and Michael Sturd as a receiver. Utah's favored by 6. I'm taking the Bruins. I think UCLA probably go in there and upend Utah's dream this year, and should really be kind of a close matchup. But I like the Bruins in this one. Then we head out to Tuscaloosa, where the 13th ranked Alabama Crimson Tide take on the 15th ranked Ole Miss Rebels. Lane Kiffin looking to try to upend his former head coach, because he used to be assistant with him. And there's a lot of rumblings right now that this could be an upset game for Alabama. I get that, because Dart is a dual threat quarterback for the Rebels. 850 yards passing, 7 touchdowns, including over 200 yards on the ground, an additional 2 more touchdowns. So he can get you in with his arm or his legs. Alabama's defense has struggled with these type of quarterbacks. Look at the game against Texas. Not to mention Alabama's offensive struggles with the quarterback play. This is going to be a very, very contested matchup. These are 2 rivals really going at it. We've got to see who's going to come out on top. And right now, Bama's favored by 6.5. I'm not sure why, to tell you the truth. Looking at what they did to Texas and other games with Alabama this year, they've not been teams like they've shown they can be. Ole Miss hasn't really had a huge test either. I have a feeling Ole Miss is going to push Alabama. A lot of people are kind of picking Ole Miss to upset. I am not. I am still going with Alabama. I don't think they lose back-to-back home games or 2 home games this year. But I definitely think it's going to be a lot closer than 6.5. I think it's going to be a field goal. 3 points. This is going to be an entertaining matchup, and definitely one to kind of watch for and kind of see who really reigns supreme over there in SEC West. Now it's time to head to the Great Plains of Lawrence, Kansas, as the undefeated Jayhawks will host undefeated BYU. Like I said, there's a lot of schools right now undefeated, so someone has to get sooner or later. And it's not being overlooked because these are not very ranked teams. Like I said, there's so many other good matchups coming up, and we still got more coming, by the way. But this is definitely a game that should be really looked at. Neal is the focal point right now for that Kansas offense. Pretty much kind of like years ago, Gale Sayers, the Kansas Comet, was a focus of Kansas, great running back. I'm not comparing Neal with Sayers, nowhere near that. But Neal has been a dominant force, 100 yards a game, almost 2 touchdowns a game. He's going to be a focal point. I mean, you're looking at about 13, 14 carries a game. 300 yards, 5 touchdowns. If BYU can stop the run and kind of make Kansas a one-dimensional team, they might have a shot. Slovis is a 660-yard pass for 6 touchdowns in 3 games. It's 330 yards, 3 touchdowns. He only has 1 pick in 3 games. I have a feeling BYU should be able to make some noise. Right now, Kansas favored by 9.5. I think because they look at the running attack as a way to help Arnold develop and be more of a threat vertically in receiving. He's yet to get a touchdown. I'm going BYU here. I don't know, something about the Cougars. I really think they'll match even nicely with Kansas, and they should make some noise, but I think it definitely will be a close game. I think it'll be another 3-point affair. It's going to be a magic number this week. But I just like BYU winning on the road. And then one that I find interesting. Oklahoma State is going to visit Iowa State. These two last week had probably the worst week this season for them. Oklahoma State lost at home to South Alabama and got decimated. South Alabama owned the Cowboys at Stillwater. You might as well put Stillwater in Mobile. I mean, that's a suburb of Mobile. That's how bad South Alabama owned them. Iowa State went to Ohio, and the Bobcats edged out a low-scoring defensive showdown, 14-7. So these two teams are looking to try to rebound after their debacle with the group of 5 programs, and they are very similar franchises, or very similar programs in terms of coaching and talent-wise. And you definitely know the coach is going to have these two fired up to come up and try to make some noise, get that win in conference play, give them a better shot, hopefully later on down the road. Iowa State's looking to even the record to 2-2. Oklahoma State's trying to look to stay well above and get that 3rd win of the season. With this being out there in Ames, Iowa, I'm looking at the Iowa State offense. Yeah, back throws a lot of interceptions. As he's going to keep the game close. The running attack is not really there. This is going to be a really close contest between these two. Like I said, right now it's 3.5 Iowa State. I think it's going to be closer than that, but I will take the Cyclones edging the Cowboys. Now I head back out to Pullman, Washington, with another top 25 matchup in the Pac-12, where 14th ranked Oregon State pays a visit to 21st ranked Wazoo. These would be the 2 leftovers of the Pac. And this should be a really entertaining game. Both teams seem to be built kind of similar. They're very well coached. They have similar offensive defenses. So we see who plays out on top. Ward, almost 1,000-yard passer with 9 touchdowns in 3 games. So he averages, like 325 yards a game with 3 touchdowns. Definitely, we definitely want to be at. Martinez, the focal point at Beavers offense. He averages over 100 yards a game. Does get many touchdowns, but the fact that he's able to dictate the defense, which kind of allows Oregon State to emphasize everywhere else. I really like this showdown. Right now, Oregon State's favored by 3. Taking the home team on this one. I'm going with Wazoo. I think there's going to be too much for not too much. I think it's going to be them being at home, and I think Ward should be able to find ways to make a nice comeback drive in the fourth quarter. We're going to finish up this week with 2 more top 25 matchups. So first, we'll head to South Bend under the lights, where the 9th-ranked Fighting Irish will take on the 6th-ranked Ohio State Buckeyes. Huge showdown. Playoff implications already on the line. I think with this game, I think even a loss still could benefit, depending how close that loss is. Could still benefit one of these schools if it comes down to that point later on at the end of the season. Hartman has been a godsend for the Irish, giving them a very competent quarterback to be able to pass around. Estime has just been a phenomenal running back to help balance out the Irish offense. For Ohio State, all eyes on Marvin Harrison Jr. When you're his son, yeah, you definitely get some attention. 300 yards, three touchdowns over the 3 games. This is going to be a true test before both these programs. And it's really see who is going to coach their team better. Who's going to step up to the plate? Notre Dame hasn't beaten Ohio State in a while. Right now they're 5-0 since that last time they beat them. They can't. The year escapes me right now. Daly seems to struggle coaching in marquee games. You look at what happens with the Michigan games recently. But I think with this one, right now Ohio State's favored by 3. As an Irish fan, I tend to agree with that. Even though I'm going to be rooting for Notre Dame. Don't get me wrong, I'm rooting for Notre Dame, but I have to be honest with myself. I think Ohio State's going to be slightly better, just because of that aerial assault. They're going to put a huge pressure on the Notre Dame secondary. I don't know if they're quite ready for that, but this should be a well entertaining game. I think the Buckeyes might show Hartman some few looks he might not be too familiar with. Probably throw his first interception because he already has 1,000 yards through 13 touchdowns already this year. But I think he's going to throw his first interception or 2, maybe even 3 in this game. But I think that's how the Ohio State's going to end up winning, is just take Notre Dame out of their comfort zone, which I don't think they really have a comfort zone. They're fine no matter which way you go. But just try to hide their schemes a bit on defense and maybe be able to pick off Hartman a couple times to really kind of swing the momentum in this game. I think that's what's going to be the factor, is if they can actually pick off Hartman and switch that momentum to Ohio State favor. But I think Ohio State winning is a highly probability. Probably about the 3 points, so I like the points. I like Ohio State, but I'm rooting for the Irish. And we'll finish off this week of selection out there in Happy Valley with the 24th-ranked Hawkeyes of Iowa coming to town to take on the 7th-ranked Nittany Lions. And LR should have a phenomenal game. Right now, Penn State's offense is a triple threat. Allen in the backfield probably should get a little more yards. He has a lot of carries, so he gets a lot of focal point, and defenses kind of stop the run, which allows LR to kind of shred him in the air. And a favorite receiver, Lambert Smith, 220 yards, 2 touchdowns. So he gets half of what LR throws to him. So Iowa has to worry about 2 different aspects, but Iowa has a great defense. They should be able to try to limit the damage. Right now, Penn State's favored about 14.5. No. This is going to be a lot closer than what the spread says. But I will take the Nittany Lions in this matchup. But I think it's going to probably be more of a 6, maybe 7-point victory by the Nittany Lions to maintain perfection thus far this season. Well, there you go. There is my pick of 12 games. I'm not expecting myself to win 10 or 11 games this week. I think I'm going to get a few losses this week. Look, I can't maintain this momentum these 2 great weeks thus far. There's some great matchups coming up this week. A lot of top 25 showdowns, a lot of games featuring undefeated schools that could try and get their way into the polls. So a lot of games kind of, get your eyeballs on and try to find ways to watch them all. It's going to be difficult unless you're able to put 4 screens up at the same time with 2 TVs and have 8 games. I mean, it's you got to have your head on a swivel when it comes to this. But a lot of entertaining games. But yeah, a lot of interesting news with the Pac-2 and the Mountain West with the possible merger and a kind of a promotion regulation system like you see in European soccer leagues. Interesting take. I think I'll look into that one a little bit later. I might come out, try come up the video within the next day or 2, or not. It won't be too long. Just put it that way. And like I said, a lot of quality games, a lot of top 25 matchups. Especially in the Pac-12 alone, there's 3 of them there. SEC's got 1. The Big Ten's got 1. Great showdowns. Great football this Saturday. Let me know who you are rooting for. Which pick do you think I got wrong? Which game should I cover that I did not cover? See if I, give you my 2 pesos worth of information. Let me know down in the comments below. I want you down to go ahead and hit the thumbs up. It really helps the YouTube algorithms, really pleases YouTube guys, really helps promote this video out. You also subscribe. By 90% of you are not subscribed. Doesn't cost you anything. Use the description. Hit that subscribe button. Click that bell icon. Turn on notifications so next time I post any more content on my channel. I'll see you next time on Chat Sports Talk.